Hello, welcome to episode 2, which is about self-esteem. I want to start off with my disclaimer that again, these episodes are just brief educational and informational tools. They're not intended to replace counseling, and they're not intended to be counseling. If you need counseling, I recommend that you seek out a licensed professional counselor near you. All right, self-esteem. What is it? Our self-esteem is how we think and act and feel sometimes. It's the way we are, our confidence, our whether or not we are independent or dependent, things like that. So sometimes people who have negative thoughts or negative emotions will be told they suffer from low self-esteem. I really don't like that word because it's a misnomer. Self-esteem isn't like fuel. You don't run out of it. You don't run low. Your tank's not getting empty. It's a wrong way to say it. I believe after 20 years of treating trauma, that trauma is one of the things that really throws mud up on our self-esteem, if you will. So we don't have low self-esteem. We have muddied self-esteem. These are the personality traits and characteristics that we are not able to see because there's got mud on them, because life kicked up a bunch of mud and threw it up on your self-esteem wall, if you will. I say in the first slide here, self-esteem is the building blocks of character and personality. We begin to build our character and personality around age 5, and it's constantly changing. Humans are very dynamic in that sense. Sometimes we think we're not, but we are. You are not the same person today that you were yesterday because life has happened. So, keep that in mind. All right, let's look at the next slide here. All right, building blocks of personality. I have a couple of mixed analogies here. I know people are going to be like, well, are you talking about blocks? Are you talking about cooking? I'm talking about both because they both really make sense. Our self-esteem or personality wall is blocks of the things that we will design as a chef, and I'll get to that in just a second. Like I said before, when trauma drives by in this big, tractor, it hits the mud puddle, splashes the mud up on your self-esteem wall, you can't necessarily see clearly these personality traits. And I believe that's probably why they call it low self-esteem, because you kind of maybe can see some, but you can't. I still don't like that term. Muddied self-esteem, I think, is more accurate. Anyway, what I have my clients do is this exercise where they write, I am unique because I am, on a Post-it note or a whiteboard or whatever. And then they'll fill that in with a personality or character trait. These are things that only you can add or you can take away from yourself. So, for example, you might say I'm unique because I'm a son, a husband, a brother, a father, whatever. But unfortunately, all of those things could be taken away, in the sense that they don't apply anymore. What I mean by that. What can't be taken away are things that you control. I am unique because I'm honest, hardworking, dedicated, loving, loyal, kind, caring, altruistic, thoughtful. Those things I control. No one can make me do them or not do them. I also control how much of that I exude, if you will. So you put that on your Post-it note or whiteboard. I am unique because I am. And you fill in that one personality trait that you want to have, that you want to improve on. And you are introspective with it in the sense that you think about it every day, you challenge it. Do I need to be more honest? Am I too honest? Do I need to insert some tact? Am I dishonest? Do I really need to focus on using my stop sign, stop, think, act, and I stop and I think about, is what I'm saying the truth? And then move forward. And I get better at that. I change my character. I change my personality. I unmuddy my self-esteem. All right. Muddy self-esteem. So next slide here. And I talked about this again. My take on self-esteem is that trauma can have a lasting impact on how we view self-esteem. So I don't want to go back through this again necessarily, but I'll leave it up so you can read through it. But I really want you to focus on the fact that if you take a look at your self-esteem wall and you're having trouble seeing it, you've got to start asking the people that are closest to you, that truly care about you, those diamond rings that I talked about in episode 1. What do you see in me that is good? What do you see in me that is neutral? What do you see in me that's negative? And if you're asking that, you're doing it for constructive criticism so you can start to work on making yourself a better you. If your loved one comes back and says, hey, you know what, you've got the biggest heart, you are just a genuinely caring person, there are several traits in there that you can go with and say, well, to be a good person with a big heart, you have to be caring. Okay, I'm caring. You have to be kind. You have to be loving. You have to be considerate. There's 4 right there just off of one thing that you can work on and build on and chip away at that mud so you see it. So when that tractor of life comes back by again to splash more mud up again, no, I'm good. And that's what ends up happening. We mud-proof our wall. As we do this, we put Teflon on it and the stuff just washes back off. Bad things happen to us all the time, happens to everyone. Things that we would consider negative, that cause emotional distress. If we have unmuddied self-esteem, it's a lot easier to get through those changes. I talked about that a little bit in the first episode of when life gives you lemons. How do you deal with that? You remain in the moment and all that. I'm not going to repeat that, but if you didn't see episode 1, go back and watch it. If your wall gets muddied, you got to do 2 things. You got to clean the mud off, 1, and then you got to start looking at what's on my blocks and how do I change it. And that's what we're going to cover in the next slide here. So my second analogy, you are the chef. So if you picture yourself as a master chef and everything out in front of you, all of the building blocks of self-esteem, of personality, of character are laid out in front of you. The positive ones, the negative ones, the neutral ones, they're all there. You are the one that decides, what do I want? Some of you are going to say, this is a nature versus nurture thing, that you don't get to decide, but that's not true. You're going to nurture yourself. You're not going to make excuses about, well, my parents did X, Y, Z, or I was born into this family or whatever. Those things, yes, absolutely can have an impact on your personality and character, but as an adult moving forward, you are the one that decides here and now, what do you want to do? And when you get people that coddle you, it keeps you in that muddied self-esteem loop. That's what's got to stop. It's time for you to step up and take control of you. That's what I tell my clients, and it works. They love it. We need that little kick in the butt sometimes to get us going. Back to the chef. You're the chef. All of the ingredients are laid out in front of you. You can decide what you want. You start to look at the things that you wrote on your list. I am unique because I am. And you say, I like this a lot. I like being caring. I like being compassionate. I like being kind. I like being thoughtful. I like being honest. I like it. Okay, cool. Keep that. But you look and you say, well, maybe I don't really like being pessimistic. I don't like being negative. I don't like being judgmental. I don't like being biased. Start to look at people around you that are in your life that don't have those traits and ask them, hey man, I just don't understand how you're not judgmental. You seem to be very open-minded about things. How do you do it? 9 times out of 10, they're going to tell you that, this is the way I think, or whatever it is they're going to say. But you got to ask. And you start to utilize your stop, think, act again to make sure that thought isn't going to grow any deeper when it pops in your head. You see someone walking down the street that doesn't look like you, and the judgmental thought pops in your head, and you start to dwell on it, and then maybe your action carries forward and you say something negative to that person. Learning how to stop. I don't like that thought. I'm not going to be judgmental, and moving forward. And the more you do that, the more you take away that judgmental block. Be better. I'm segueing into that. We can make excuses about our behavior. We can blame others for what we say and do. But the hardcore truth is that the only control you have in life is in the choices you make. You don't control your thoughts. You don't control your emotions. You control how you act on them. You do. No one else. No one can make you act or do or feel anything. You're choosing it at a conscious or unconscious level. That's it. To push blame on someone or something else is to not take responsibility for what you're doing, and that does not allow you to be better. You can be better. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I know it can sound a little harsh coming across, but again, I think that's what some people need in the moments. Being able to get a little kick in the butt and get going. Like and subscribe. I will see you guys next week, and we'll talk about something a little more positive, I think. All right, take care.